Hey everybody, Dave Kincaid here. I've got a video for you. I'm going to show you an example in export grants. So if you're a business looking to export, you should probably hopefully find this interesting. But also if you're just sort of, trying to figure out grants and trying to figure out how to contact government and all that kind of stuff, hopefully in this video, I'll show you just some tips on how you can help your business become successful in grants. So I'm going to start here with an election platform, and I'm going to go right through to different grant programs. And I'm just going to kind of walk you through kind of where they start and the process and some of the stakeholders involved in that journey. So all grants start with election platforms. So we're looking at, this is the latest federal liberal platform. They ran on this and then they won. What you want to do is, I've gone through this and you're kind of like, all right, well, I'm probably looking for grants. This is their election platform. So you can imagine them brainstorming, thinking through how are we going to help businesses, etc. And a more resilient economy is the most basic ones. And they have a bunch of different ideas here. And then here is innovation, science, and research. We know that the spirit of innovation requires more than just tax cuts. It requires belief in science, ambitious partnerships between government, academia, and the private sector, and a plan to invest in the freshest, most innovative ideas out there, and a plan to invest. Translation, government needs to put grants into new ideas. So with that, they win. Now, when Trudeau wins, he forms a cabinet, and he picks people from his cabinet, and then everyone gets a portfolio. You want to go down here to Mary, Minister, here she is. Mary, Honorable Mary, sorry Mary if you're listening to this and I'm butchering your last name, but I'm going to say Nuj. And she is the Minister of International Trade, Export, Promotion, Business, and Economic Development. So you click on that and this page shows up, which is super helpful. Actually, no, it looks like this. Click on this, and it tells you about her background, what she's passionate about. And then there's this thing right here with the mandate letter. Now, if you're not familiar with mandate letters, this is a letter from, and I'll open it up here, from the Prime Minister, who is her boss, right? He appoints her, and he gives her a letter. It's a long letter, but it says basically what his expectations are of her to be successful. So these are just pure gold. I remember back in the day, these were like, this was a big deal when government started making these public. But it's actually kind of interesting. So to walk you through the key points, I think you'd want to shoot me if I tried to read this to you. I put it into a PDF document and just highlighted some of the key things as it pertains to grants, okay? Let me just walk through some of these highlights and then we'll go from here and we'll just keep going on this journey of the grant was an election promise, then they had a minister, then the minister got the portfolio, then the Prime Minister gives the mandate letter. So let's just go through this mandate letter because I actually read it. It's pretty interesting. During a difficult time, Canadians made a democratic choice. They entrusted us to finish the fight against COVID and support the recovery of strong middle class. This is important because this is how our system works, right? We elect a government and they have the power and they can decide. And if you don't like it, you can, of course, voice your opinion, but you have a chance to remove them peacefully. And that's what makes our country so great, right? We have peaceful transitions of government by and large. I know it's been getting a little hostile last time, which was kind of scary in a way because that's one of the fabrics of our democracy, right? We have peaceful transitions of governments. So if you don't like the bums, in a lot of countries, as you probably know, getting a government out can involve a revolution or a coup or a war. It's part of what makes Canada amazing. That's just how it works. They've got the keys to the car, so they're going to go for a drive. So let's go through this. So down here, as minister, I put expect here, I left little comments, you to seek opportunities within your portfolio to support our whole government effort to reduce emissions, create clean jobs, and address climate-related challenges communities are ready to face. Now, if you're a business and you're in this industry, or a lot of the grants are in this space, right? So I'm sure they are. There are some big words here and phrases that the government wants to hear. Now let's keep going down here. Now this is a letter about international trade, and you can see how important reconciliation is. Um, in I mean, if you are in grants at all, you know that every single grant application talks about supporting Indigenous communities. I want to give you an example how you may approach something like this in your grant application if you don't have a letter of recommendation from an Indigenous community. Anyone who's kind of in this business professionally of grants, you're like, oh, I have a letter of support for an Indigenous community. But those can be difficult to get, especially if you don't know them. But hopefully this can start getting you thinking creatively. Like, can you educate at conferences? Can you speak in schools? Can you teach about your technology to Indigenous communities in certain ways? And then, in your application, you can write about that, or on your website, have pictures of you presenting to different diverse groups. So when they Google you, they can see alignment, not just with your technology, because if your technology is the exact same as them, then you get into what are the differentiators between the two. And if your company is helping the government achieve other boxes than just that one, well, I mean, you don't need to be a genius to figure out that you're probably positioning yourself into a more favorable light. Let's keep going. As minister, there's the expectation. Remember, this is Trudeau writing, the minister. I expect you to include and collaborate with various communities and actively seek out and incorporate in your work the diverse views of Canadians. This includes women, Indigenous peoples, Black and racialized Canadians, newcomers, faith-based communities, and persons with disabilities, LGBTQ2 Canadians, and in both official languages. Again, I think my comment just before talked about that, but as a business, when you think about your leadership team, when you think about the images on your website of your team or programs you have in place, these are all things that can be used in grant applications, also in awards, because there's a lot of overlap. And then if you use that content in awards, you win awards. Now the government's giving out funding to award-winning businesses, and that de-risks it for them, because that's another independent party that has endorsed this company that they may not know a lot about, which also leads to things like bios. Make sure you have good bios, professional bios on your website and stuff. Anyway, I just want to keep going here. Again, we're on this journey. We're talking about grants, the ideas of where they come from, and then obviously how they end up potentially with money in your bank account so you can grow your business. And then there's just, it's really like gender-based analysis plus and the quality of life indicators in decision making. I'm just kind of throwing these terms at you because you're an entrepreneur and you're manufacturing something and you're trying to get it into a new country. I think it's just wise for you, especially if you can get a grant, just start to get your head around the people that are giving out the money and why. And I'm just trying to show you some stuff that I'm seeing here. Now, here, I'm saying I'm leaving notes because I had so many ideas here. I want to make sure I capture it. But it's the supply chain is a priority. If you think about your grant applications, this is good content for some of your answers, right? Critical supply chains and advance Canada's export diversification strategy. I just put this here because it's a new grant. I just Googled that. It hasn't come out yet, but it's kind of cool. There again, supply chain. I just saw a funny TikTok or something video where it's like, you're not allowed to use certain words, and supply chain is like the word you're not allowed to use in 2022 because people are so tired of it. But in your grant application, that may not be the case. In collaboration with other ministers, lead. So he wants her to lead Canada's effort to combat protection, unfair trade practice, and economic coercion around the world. You will work with international partners, advance our economic diversification strategy. How does she do that? How can she do that? Grants. And then over in this letter, just got a couple other tips for you. Notice how it doesn't say grants though. Like there's just no mention of grants. You kind of have to read through the lines. And here are a couple programs. You can see youth is a major issue, zero interest loans. Like if you're you're trying to raise capital and you're, got a large project, like, you should be writing no one likes to be shit on, but you can write the department and say, hey, I saw this. Where is that program? Because it doesn't have a name here, right? It's just a mandate. And sometimes these are first come, first serve. So this is you're talking about getting money. This is pretty interesting. And micro grants, that's actually come out. That's another video I'll shoot. Advancing negotiations with the United Kingdom towards a fully realized Canada-UK trade agreement. This pertained to, of course, the UK leaving the EU, and that the trade agreement. They've done a lot of work, and I just did some reading on it before this video, and it looks like it's in the process of being finalized, but there's still some work to do. But I'm going to show you something here pretty interesting in just a minute as it relates to grants. Here again is the focus. Work with another department and drive clean technology companies. Expect you to support your colleagues in delivering their commitments. Again, if you're a business, think about, you've got this minister, she has these big expectations to lower emissions, make the economy more diverse. How can you help her do her job, help her make her look good, right? And in your applications, you can reflect the spirit of the government's mandate. Remember, I said up there, they have the keys, they're in charge. I would like, therefore, to ask you to return to me a proposed approach to deliver your mandate commitments. Now, this is kind of a little bit elite level. Now, if you're a lobbyist or something, lobbyists would be reading this and understanding this and shaping that. It's kind of when you get into lobbying. We're not in that industry. We're kind of just talking about grants, but you can watch for this letter and figure out, what she's doing. And then again, if she has to hit targets, what are her targets? Can you help her to achieve that? Can you write in your letter, your application, that the minister's target is to reduce emissions, or the government's plan is to reduce emissions by X? Our project's going to do it by this. Just kind of neat two sentences beside each other. Looks good. I will be asking you to report it publicly to me, so it's all public. So a lot of information there. You can really pick up the vibe of the government, right? About what they want and what their plans are. All right, so let's go back to our little view. Trudeau says, I'm going to run on this platform. They win. He forms the minister, gives the minister a letter. This is very clearly. Now, you go here, and these are portfolios. So you click here. This website just went down, so I'll just skip one. But it basically, she's in charge of global affairs, and then from here you get into the programs. If that site unfortunately is down, there's one page in between this, but Can Export, Canovation, and these ones. But I wanted to show you this today, the Canadian Technology Accelerators. And if you click on that, it gives you a list of them. And one of them is this United Kingdom Digital Energy Solutions. Are you looking to scale your leading edge digital energy company? Anyways, it goes through here. Now, this grant will ask you, did you participate in any trade accelerators? It'll be one of their questions. And they'll also ask you, have you worked with any trade commissioners? Here's one here. So, you're starting to build relations. So you're going from an idea to a minister to a mandate letter to her. She has a portfolio to one of the programs. Now you're going to get into this trade accelerator. You decide the UK. It appears to be free and not a huge commitment. And then over here are the grants. And so you can see here it's going to open up soon. And then over here is another one for innovators. And then there's this one, which I thought was really interesting. I mean, I've known about it for years, but most people have no idea about this one, right? So an innovative technology program. Look at the money, 10 billion euro in public funding. Canada belongs to the network, and you can see it's IRAP. Pretty wild. That is just an overview. I'm trying to demystify government here for you a little bit, but the feel of it, right? Oftentimes, it's so hard to even find these grants. Some of you I've won all these grants here. I've never written that one, but I've won this one. I only wrote it once. We won it, and this one I've won 15 times. But that's neither here or there. I'm just saying, you want the vibe of where it's coming from on this journey. And then there's the UK, and I just thought it was kind of interesting. You know, you can use copy, like if you Google this UK agreement, where was it? Here, Canada UK trade agreement. It gives you a bunch of awesome copy, which if you're applying to this, you can use it for, right? You can say, oh, you know, it's important that we have a digital, and it gives you all that data, and you just get, they've done all the work for you. You can just put it together, and you got this application that meets their needs, and that's sort of, you know, government grant writing secret sauce. So anyway, I just put this together for you. I think my ultimate goal here is to sort of build trust between businesses and government. Like, it can be very frustrating for businesses, you know, and I say this respectfully, but, you know, I've talked to entrepreneurs now for 15 years, and I've never heard one of them say, hey, man, let's do a gender-based analysis plus or a quality of life indicators. You know, they're very diverse businesses, but they just don't have that language, right? It's just not in their world. And then, you know, they don't even hear about words like this. So it can be frustrating. And what I'm trying to say is, yeah, I know it's frustrating, but we're very lucky in Canada that this is our system. Yes, definitely not perfect, right? But you can throw the quote unquote bums out regardless of party if you don't like them, and you can do it peacefully. Why I started my business a long time ago was to kind of build trust between business and government. And hopefully through this, if you're a business, you can take a leadership role and you can educate the minister here and essentially the government, and even election platforms. You get really clever if you're really elite, of how, you know, businesses can help make Canada a great place, an inclusive place, and all that type of stuff. I've kind of just knew it, putting this kind of stuff out there is what where my heart is. So if you do like this, can you smash a like or just leave a comment and say, Dave, I don't follow at all, or yeah, Dave, can you do more of this? Because I can break down the governmentese, if you will, in a whole bunch of different areas as it pertains to funding. So if you could just do that, just maybe let me know, and that'll give me the encouragement to do this. It's also helpful for me anyways, even if people don't really like it, for me to maximize these, because like as a grant writer, it's kind of good to have like a first idea of this fund's coming, because if the application's first come first serve, you can get it in there really quick and help businesses get the money to grow. So anyway, that's a wrap on this video. I hope you have a great day. Also, feel free to subscribe to the channel if you want more information about grants and businesses.